Dozens of people have been killed and thousands displaced after a siege in the port city of Palma in Mozambique. Several South Africans are reportedly still stuck in the city, fearing for the worst. There's been mounting pressure on the Southern African Development Community, or SADC's leadership, to act swiftly on the Islamic insurgency in the country. Mozambique has been the target of an Islamist insurgency linked to the Islamic State since 2017. The three-year insurgency in Cabo Delgado has to date killed at least 2,500 people and left around 600,000 people displaced. For more on this, I'm now joined by the University of Johannesburgs international law professor, Professor Hennie Strydom. Thank you very much, Professor, for your time this evening. Analysts have been warning of growing tension in the area for years. Were we caught off guard, and if so, why?
Yeah, I mean, the violence has escalated since about 2017, and I think it's justifiable to ask the question, what has been done in the meantime to prevent us from getting to this point? And if it starts to escalate even further, then it might have serious consequences for neighboring countries, especially when you have large numbers of refugees crossing borders. But apart from that, we have also economic implications and consequences flowing from this incident and from the escalating violence, because the gas production in that area, and South Africa is also getting gas from that area. And investors might now sort of have second thoughts. We've already heard that Total, I think, is one of the companies who has decided to halt, at least for some time, their activities in the area. So the question I think we should ask is whether, Mozambique itself has the capacity to deal with this incident. I think there are sort of news flying around now that there's a private security company of South Africa who's assisting. And last night I saw a report stating that the Portuguese government will send soldiers to the area. If that is the case, it indicates, I think, that the problem might be more serious than we see at this point in time. And that, of course, brings us into the question, what is SADC doing about it?
Can you tell us any more about this South African security company that is reportedly a part of trying to solve conflict there?
Yes, that is, in fact, news that I got from a journalist and what I read in the newspapers. Apparently, the company at that point in time, and I'm talking about 2-3 weeks ago, was assisting the police in order to enforce law and order. And I do not know whether they are involved in military action as well. The information on this issue is very skimpy at this point in time. But there was a clear statement last night that the Portuguese government is sending troops to the area. So that sort of it tells us that the situation might be more serious than we think.
6 South Africans have been repatriated back to South Africa along the remains of one South African who lost his life in the conflict. Do we have any idea how many South Africans are estimated to still be working in the Cabo Delgado region and who might still be at risk?
Yeah, I have no exact figures at this point in time. I personally know of people working there, but the exact number, I think, we still have to establish. There might be more than that is reported on in the press.
We've heard a statement over the weekend from the South African Department of International Relations saying that they are very concerned by the situation in Mozambique and that they will be working alongside the Mozambican government to try and resolve the situation there, not only for the safety of South Africans working there, but of course for the safety of our neighbouring country. But what role can the international community at large play in trying to resolve the situation in Mozambique?
Well, let me point out, first of all, that for any government in that situation, there are 2 options if it can't sort of get the situation under control by itself. And that is to have a bilateral arrangement with another country, for instance, a neighboring country like South Africa. And one would hope that there are bilateral discussions going on at this point in time to find a solution. The other option is a multilateral solution to it. And when we talk about the international community, I think our first gaze should go to the SADC region, because SADC has that kind of protocols in place to deal with security issues in the region or in the sub-region. Whether the capacity is there to effectively deal with it is an open question. And I think if that is not an option and there is still a chance of having a multilateral solution, then the African Union should step in, which I think does not offer much hope. We have too many incidents on the African continent where extreme violence occurred in many countries and which also cross borders. Mali is one incident, the whole Sahel is in turmoil. And the African Union is not one of the major role players in that area. And it also came on board at a somewhat late stage. The French troops intervened on the invitation of the Mali government. So those sort of historical examples do not give us a lot of hope about an African Union intervention that is effective in this part of the continent. But hopefully we'll have more news about the plans that are afoot within the SADC region.
Well, thank you very much for your take on the situation. That's University of Johannesburg's International Law Professor Hennie Strydom.